I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Lake Como Mayor and Council to order. Please rise for a salute to the flag and a moment of silent reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection as you stand. Please keep in your thoughts the family of Charlie Whitty, who was an engineer for H2M, who worked for Lake Como and the planning board, also the brother of our council president, Doug Whitty, who lost his life last week. Thank you. Sunshine law, please.
Notice of this meeting has been provided by the adoption of a resolution by the Mayor and Council on the second day of January 2024, in which resolution the time and place of agenda and regular meetings commencing on January 2nd were set forth. Notice the same was delivered to the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, and Tap and Do, and a copy of the notice was posted on the Borough website and on the bulletin board in Borough Hall. All meetings are open to the public.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Whitty is not here tonight. Councilmember Scull?
Here.
Antoine?
Here.
Demoro?
Here.
Patrice?
Here.
Doyle?
Here.
Thank you. We have a question about the September 3rd minutes. Were the workshop minutes on there? Or
They were not, just the regular.
Just the regular meeting. It's the workshop minutes will come for the next meeting, correct? Okay. So at this time, I'll take approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of September 3rd, 2024.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to reports of committee, starting with Councilwoman Abala-Doyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. All matters are in order.
Thank you. Councilman Ventris.
Thank you, Mayor. All matters are in order.
Thank you. Councilman DeMauro.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, anything going on?
Summer's over. The guys and girls are looking forward to the fishing tournament this weekend in Case. So 11 is registration to the 12 o'clock starts the fishing. 12 to 2, we'll have 3 different age categories, prizes for each, and hopefully it'll be a really good day.
Great. Drew, anything with the first aid?
Working as it should.
Okay.
No
Nothing,
issues.
all else is in order, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman D'Antuono.
Thank you, Mayor. All matters are in order.
Councilwoman Scull.
Thank you, Mayor. Just reminding our friends and residents that this weekend is Lake Como Day. Best day of the year. We look forward to it every year. It's taking place at the lake. It's also our 100th anniversary celebration, so it's going to be our biggest and best Lake Como Day yet. It is from 4 to 9. We have live music. We have lots of food vendors, craft vendors, lots of things for the kids, a beer and wine tent and, well, sort of area, and fireworks. There's also a 5K in the morning at 9. I believe it's 9 a.m. Council President Whitty, I think, would have given us better details than I can, but I believe it's at 9 a.m. and it's from McCann's, and you can still sign up on 5K locally. So feel free to spend the whole day with us. 5K fishing tournament, Lake Como Day. It's going to be great. So other than that, all matters are in order.
Thank you, and I know the weather keeps changing minute by minute.
It's going to be
So,
good.
it's going to be
It's gonna
great.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a report. I have a lengthy report, and Amy, don't worry, I have it written down, so I'll send it to you. I want to thank everyone who attended our lengthy workshop at the last meeting on the assessment demonstration program. The council asked pertinent questions, as did the members of the public who were in attendance. After the meeting, I received a follow-up from residents with additional questions, and I did my best to answer those questions via email. My overall thoughts on this program and the mayor and council's role in this process are simple. We have to find an answer to the question, is the current tax assessment program the best for the borough of Lake Como? We have heard much about what the law and the Constitution say, but none of that describes what the ADP program is and if it is required as a program. The Monmouth County Tax Board decided to enter into this program over a decade ago for all municipalities in the county. Currently, the topic is being discussed in closed session with the council because we are seeking advice from our attorney. If and when a decision is made about our relationship with ADP, we will bring that decision to a vote for public discussion. I must agree that something does not seem right about this situation we are currently in. I do not agree with what the county tax assessor said. I do not think our borough tax assessor, I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong. I do not necessarily disagree with what the county tax assessor has said. I do not think our borough tax assessor has done anything he was not supposed to do. However, in my opinion, the borough is being told we must do something that other counties and state municipalities do not have to do, including many municipalities in our area. I think ADP has been good for the borough, but it may be time to look at other alternatives. This is not just a problem on North Boulevard. It will also be an issue in other neighborhoods, especially in situations in town when someone purchases a property well over the asking price, just to use it as an Airbnb for the summer. I go back to a discussion we had in 2020 when we were talking about parking in one-ways over Zoom during the COVID pandemic. The responsibility of this council is to make the town safe and inviting for those visiting, but protect those that live here. Once the council receives advice from our attorney, we can make public statements about our intentions moving forward. Thank you. Second, I met with 2 different committees last night about traffic patterns and parking regulations in 2 specific areas of Lake Como. The first committee, consisting of Councilman DeMauro and Councilwoman Skull, discussed the area of Newman Street. There was great discussion about the needs for the community as far as accessing a road to be able to drive out of town. 2 recommendations were on the table. One recommendation was to remove the parking from east side of the street and create a 2-way roadway. The second was to leave the parking and flip the entire stretch of Newman Street one-way direction northbound instead of southbound. As a result of the meeting, the resolution will be presented next meeting that will reflect the first option, removing parking and making the 2-way street. The option was chosen due to the fact that it was the original option discussed by the council during the workshop meeting in August. Also, if this option proves unhelpful, we can always move to option 2 by reversing the one-ways. The second committee to meet was Councilman DeMauro and Councilwoman Albala Doyle to discuss the area of Greenwood and Bradley Terrace. There is a recommendation from our borough engineer to stipulate both Greenwood and Bradley be switched to one-way streets due to the inability of vehicles to drive through the streets in opposite directions. This opinion has been supported by our fire representative. I don't know if it was supported by the chief of police, but I think it was, and our EMS official, as being an issue of safety for the town. With the change, these 2 roadways, with the change in these 2 roadways, 18th Avenue will continue to be a seasonal one-way, but will begin at the eastern side of Bradley Terrace intersection. Therefore, 18th Avenue between New Bedford Road and Bradley Terrace will be a 2-way street. Cars exiting from Bradley can turn left or right out of that street. Finally, the ordinance will also have the stipulation to remove parking on the south side of 18th Avenue at all times year-round between Main Street and Main Street and New Bedford. This actually seems to be the least controversial aspect of the discussion. Residents who wish to comment on these upcoming parking and one regulations can do so tonight during the public comment period of the agenda, and again at the next meeting prior to the council voting, and I know there will be discussion from the council at that time. Not at this time. Okay.
Just.
Did I not say Greenwood?
I had to clarify.
No, you did not.
Discuss the area of Greenwood and Bradley Terrace? I didn't say that?
You said that Bradley would be coming and you can make a left or right. You didn't say which way Greenwood.
Oh, I didn't say which way the directions would be. So, right, so, I'm sorry, in the discussion, Greenwood Terrace would be a one-way going southbound, and Bradley Terrace would be a one-way going northbound. And then you would be able to turn onto 18th Avenue either way out of Bradley Terrace.
I'm sorry, did you also mention that the piece of Newman in discussion is between specifically 17th and 16th?
So I didn't specifically say that, but it will be in the ordinance next week that they can discuss. But yes, the 2-way would be between 16th and 17th Avenue. Finally, my third part of my report is pales in comparison to the first 2. I've been asked by the planning board to bring a topic to the council for discussion and consideration. To consider an ordinance prohibiting stones or loose gravel to be used within the road verge, which is the area between the roadway and the sidewalk. This has been a topic of discussion for many years, and with the increased street cleaning, the amount of stone in the road is causing concern of property damage for our residents. We could put this on a workshop meeting for the next meeting to discuss the issue. As I asked council and our town clerk to do some research on other municipalities who may have this restriction for the residents, for the use, to use as a reference during our workshop meeting at the next meeting. I'm sorry if I skipped some specifics there, but we can clarify any questions that people will have during our public session today, and then again next meeting. Other than that, I have no other business. I'll take a motion to open for public comment on new business and consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone wishing to speak to anything listed on our agenda tonight under the consent agenda or new business can come to the mic and do so now. Seeing none, this is just for the agenda. There'll be another open session for other items, for any item actually. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I have one, we have one item under the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, roll call please.
Councilmember Stahl?
Yes.
Fontaine?
Yes.
Demora?
Yes.
Ventrice?
Yes.
Evaluate?
Yes.
Under new business, we have ordinance 2024-10 offered by Councilwoman Albala Doyle.
Thank you, Mayor. So offering Borough of Lake Como Bond Ordinance 2024-10. This is a bond ordinance providing for the various improvements to Behrman Park through the borough and for $475,000, including a Monmouth County open space grant in the amount of $200,000 and authorizing the issuance of $261,500 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost. This is for improvements, like I said, to Behrman Park, including but not limited to the construction and installation of the dog park and pickleball courts. This includes all engineering and design work, surveying, construction planning, preparation of plans and specifications, permits, bid documents, construction inspection and contract administration, environmental testing and remediation if necessary, and also all work, materials, equipment, labor, and apparatuses as necessary therefore or incidental thereto.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call please.
I have a question.
Sure.
As someone who takes their family, who takes their dog there every single night, this is really something great for the community. My only question is what's the tax ramification on it?
So it would be a portion of the budget to pay off the notes over, what's the note? Do we know the note? Is it 20 or 30 years? So it would be over 20 or 30, I forget what the note is, but that would be the ramification.
And we got a grant.
It's a matching grant. Roll call please.
Councilmember Stahl?
Yes.
Fontaine?
Yes.
Demora?
Yes.
Ventrice?
Yes.
Evaluate?
Yes.
Thank you. We have ordinance 2024-11 offered by Councilman D'Antuono.
Thank you, Mayor. So offered bond ordinance 2024-11. This is a bond ordinance providing for improvements and repairs to various roads throughout the borough. In the county, in the borough of Lake Como, and the county of Monmouth, appropriating $310,000 therefore, including a New Jersey Department of Transportation grant in the amount of $288,101, and authorizing the issuance of $20,850 in bonds or notes.
Thank you. Any questions on this one? Second?
Second.
Roll call please.
Councilmember Stahl?
Yes.
Fontaine?
Yes.
Demora?
Yes.
Ventrice?
Yes.
Evaluate?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2024-125 offered by Councilwoman Scull.
Thank you, Mayor. Offering resolution 2024-125. Be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Lake Como that the proper officers be directed and authorized to make payment from the following accounts. Current account, $534,024.10. Water and sewer account, $56,678.33. General capital fund, $8,700. Tourism account, $3,496.53. 100th anniversary account, $1,995. ACH wire payments, $45,550.59, for a grand total of $650,444.55.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Fontaine?
Yes.
Demora?
Yes.
Ventrice?
Yes.
Valenzoy?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2024-126, offered by Councilman DeMar.
This is an agreement between the Borough of Lake Como and the Borough of Neptune City for a shared services agreement for utilization of our code enforcement team here at Lake Como. It's for $15,000 a year, paid quarterly, and it seems like a good opportunity.
Just to add to it, it will not take away any time of our code enforcement for the Borough of Lake Como. This is in addition to what he does here at Lake Como. Any other questions or comments from the council? Second, please.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Canzino?
Yes.
Demora?
Yes.
Ventrice?
Yes.
Valenzoy?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2024-127, offered by Councilman Ventrice.
Thank you, Mayor. So offered resolution 2024-127, resolution of the Borough of Lake Como Council Executive Sessions. Whereas the Borough Council of the Borough of Lake Como must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting. And whereas these subjects are within the exceptions of the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B7, the Borough intends to discuss matters that are covered by the attorney-client privilege and involve legal advice. This session is not expected to last more than 30 minutes, and then we'll reconvene if there's anything to say.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Antoine?
Yes.
Demora?
Yeah.
Ventrice?
Yes.
Valenzoy?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, I'll take a motion to open for public comments.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, at this time, anyone wishing to address the council, comments, please come to the mic now, name, address, and address the council.
Okay. Claire Hayner, 18th and B. No, I'm not, no, it doesn't matter. Just a reminder that a week from Sunday, 29th, there's a New Jersey Run for the Fallen. They're going to be running through Belmar on Ocean Avenue, approximately 9 a.m. They start down in Cape May. It's a group of runners, and they run in different pairs. And they run for 4 days, up to the Art Center, for the Global War on Terror. And they stop each mile to honor someone that has been killed during that war. So it's a great event. It's a quick event. So I say get there maybe 8:45, because they could be 15 minutes early, 15 minutes late, and it's over within 5 minutes. So, but it's so meaningful to the families to see everyone there. And North Boulevard and Ocean Avenue, Carlos Gonzalez will be honored there, and down at Fifth Avenue, Campbell McKenna will be honored there.
What's the date again? I'm sorry.
The 29th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Petrosino, 312 18th Avenue. Wanted to talk about the roadways. I want to share a little excitement this week. I was able to pull out of my driveway and enter 18th Avenue without driving 6 blocks out of my way and stopping at 4 different stop signs to do so. My understanding that Greenwood would potentially be a southbound roadway, and then Bradley would be a northbound roadway. Is that permanent or a seasonal change?
So the discussion would be a permanent change.
Okay. And then my next question would be, when we take 18th to a seasonal one-way, why can't we open Bradley to the left turn so that we could get out of our neighborhood without going to Schneider or North Boulevard. It's a simple solution for all of us that live there.
So that is part of the plan, so Bradley would be open to a left turn, coming out of Bradley.
Fantastic. That made me a little excited.
Yeah.
It really is. I think you sit up here and I think the guys really try to do a good job, try to keep the roads safe. And we all know when the summer comes, we have to make concessions. But by the end of the summer, it is so ridiculous how we have to get out of that pattern now. And for 2 years, Kevin, I've been asking you, open that turn and it solves all the problems. I think it's the win-win, because there are a lot of opposing ideas. I was one of them who said, just leave it. I've been doing this for 55 years. I can navigate without hitting a car mirror. But I understand my neighbors had some damage to their cars, so we just do it. But opening that left turn, I think, solves it. It lets us out of this little loop that we have. And I have been noticing that when it turns to one way, the speeding does increase. And you see a frustration from beachgoers that get to Bradley, they want to make the left, and then they make the right, they just hit the gas. So, thank you.
Thanks, Stephen.
That's no problem.
Jean Gardner, 1811 Greenwood Terrace. So we have a whole bunch of us from Greenwood Terrace who would really like to talk about this, because most of us are residents. I've been down here 11 years now. When I came down, I think there were 3 houses that were filled during the winter. Now there's 10 or 12 of us, and we're all here, and we love being there. We don't see the reason to change our street into a one-way, other than 20, 25 days the whole entire year. We never have a problem on the street. Everybody can go up and down. In the summer, we feel it's going to get worse because there's more and more traffic if we're only going one way. So we really don't understand the reason for having to do that. So I think, I don't know who anybody else wants to talk, but that's what we're concerned about. We're fine this way. Now we're going to have to go down to 19th, come all the way up around the lake, come up down Main Street, try to make turns to get up to 18th Avenue. We can't get in and out of our streets. We already have the problems that we have now during the summer, and now it's going to be all year long. So we are very concerned about that. We think that it's not making our lives very easy, and it's not necessarily making it safer. And I say this acknowledging that my car was hit. I've been sideswiped. It cost me $1,600 because my car was on the street. I still don't want it to not be one way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Boyle, 1817 Greenwood. I'm a new resident of Lake Como actually, and I heard the council earlier state that from the perspective of having Greenwood be a one-way, it's a security concern or a safety concern. I think having recorded the entire summer on all of our cameras at our house and witnessed a lot of these accidents and helped our neighbors kind of come to resolution, it's, the one-way and the traffic ends up being, it's about the speed, right? It's also about the fact that when we're boxed in, people end up making K-turns in the middle of the street, at the bottom of the street, they get stuck, they're trying to come around the other way, especially folks that don't live here all year round like we do. So when we're thinking about, the data that supports whether or not this is a viable option that helps with public safety, it would be helpful to share that with us. From our perspective, all the data that we have, right, has 2 incidents of our cars being hit by residents that are trying to turn around or summer folks that are trying to turn around. So in our view, right, I think that's something that would be better considered is the speed, or even a seasonal reality. That's fine, right? The 18th back and forth and the random one-ways does prove to have inefficient traffic patterns. And it takes us a good 10 minutes to circle all the way around the block and get back to Main Street, where it took me 3 minutes tonight. So, that adds up for residents that are here all the time and impacts our accessibility to our homes. So if we're thinking about that, it'd be helpful as residents for you guys to think about it holistically when it comes from the perspective of public safety.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Ron DeSorbo, 1802 Greenwood Terrace. Just to echo my neighbors, we've been here for a number of years. I understand seasonal need for changing 18th Avenue, as Mr. Penzino said. But I drove down both blocks for the last week, both Bradley and Greenwood. Greenwood had 5 cars on it. Bradley might have had 7. And that's pretty much year round. So I actually don't have an issue during the season, but full time, big issue, because it's a major inconvenience to the people that live there. That said. So I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna come back. I wanna hear more about the bond deal, but I'll let the other neighbors.
Thank you. I'm gonna stop you for a second, Ron. Sir, before you leave, you can't come back up. So if you want to continue talking about something, I'll do you that favor.
Thank you.
We'll call a timeout, Ron.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is more of a question. I heard a couple of different numbers being discussed about the new bond or loan. So just a question. Mayor, I think you mentioned that the cost is going to be borne over the next 20 or 30 years. It doesn't sound like the bond has been negotiated yet. So I guess it would be helpful to understand what the total amount is of the bonds and the notes that are being issued. It sounds like the grants are going to be very helpful, you know, to get everything done, but there's always a cost to get the bonds issued. I'm just wondering how, if that's going to be public, so that we could look at it. In previous residences, bonds like that usually get voted on. Is that the intent here, or is it just going to be passed?
So that's what was voted on tonight?
I meant, sorry, Mayor, in the general election.
Oh, no, that doesn't get voted, that's not getting voted on in the general election, no.
Is there going to be any kind of publication that gives us more detail?
Sure, we can get that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ron Carriel, 397 North Boulevard, and I'm here tonight just to ask about any additional follow-up from Monmouth County on the ADPT tax program and how we can be thinking about our taxes not increasing.
So I did report out of that you were late, Ron, so you're getting a detention. I did report out that we are still seeking advice from our attorney, so we can't make any public comments on that yet. I gave an opinion about, I think it's definitely something we need to investigate about making a change, moving away from ADP, but we can't make a decision or a public comment as a council until we get more advice from our attorney in closed session.
Okay. I would just ask, because obviously we're thinking about this, some of us are thinking about it more than others because we've been impacted. When we do move forward, the residents and property owners of North Boulevard have been significantly impacted. And if there's a change, we don't feel that it's reasonable for us to carry that burden into future years, meaning that if we opt out of ADP, our assessed values are here relative to everybody else, and if they remain that way, the injustice is not going to be fixed. So, just more thought around how do we tax properties or assess properties going forward, not just residential but commercial properties. And then if we do opt out of ADP, that the residents and property owners in North Boulevard should not bear the brunt of that tax increase over the past 2 years. That was disproportionate to the rest of the community.
Okay. I'm still processing what you're talking about, but okay.
All right. And while I have the mic and then I'm going to sit down, I strongly oppose building a new town hall, especially with the tax issues that we're dealing with. I'm not convinced that it's not going to cost the taxpayers a whole lot more money. My house being one of the highest assessed residential properties in the community, I strongly oppose it. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jim Buchanan, 528 North Boulevard. Councilman D'Antuono, did Matt Clark give you the information on beach area properties that experienced a 40 to 60% increase in home values yet?
No, I haven't received information back, Mr. Clark, yet.
I'm just gonna say one more time, you gotta direct your questions to me, okay? I'm sorry about that.
I didn't know that was all the time.
That's all the time, yeah. You gotta direct your questions to
I'd
me.
like to
I can
say,
open it up to the
can you
council.
ask- Oh, okay, that's
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
Chris, you can answer his question.
Did you ask me if you got my email?
Did you get his email? Okay, Chris, you can answer his question.
So I want to thank you, Mayor Higgins, for answering some of those questions that we had. But two of them I wanted to follow up on.
Sure.
Are there limits on New Jersey tax increases? So when I read your response, you said that there are limits on rate increases, but not assessment increases. I don't know if any changes to the funding limits. The limit is 2% on the rate, but it can go higher than that if a town saves its unused percentages from previous years, which is called a cap bank. Do you bank?
That's a good answer.
Right?
It's not easy, and I'm impressed that I answered that correctly. I'm not making a joke of it, but it is. It's true.
Right. So that I've never heard of a cap bank, and
Yep.
right. So there's a lot of things that.
I have a little bit more of experience with it because it's a big deal more with school budgets than it is with town budgets.
Okay.
So you're allowed a 2% increase on your rate, right? So the town can say we're going to increase the rate by 2%. If we don't increase that rate by 2%, we get to put that 2% in our pocket. So if you go 5 years and you don't increase the rate, in year 6 you can increase it by 10%. Because you put all of those 2% in your pocket for 5 years.
You know how many we use?
We haven't used one in a very long time.
No. How many did we use?
How many?
How many percentages did
We haven't raised the
This
rate.
year, you didn't use any.
Correct. We haven't raised the rate. I'm gonna say 15 years. We haven't raised the rate.
So you could raise our.
There's a limit on the bank. I don't know what the limit is,
Okay.
but no, I couldn't raise. I don't think I can raise it 30%.
All right, because
Yeah.
somebody raised mine 60.
No, they raised your assessment, not your rate.
Okay.
So there's no limit on the assessment.
I got it. So the next question, and
And notice I said they, not us. They raised your assessment.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's just a math formula. You
Yes.
have a numerator and a denominator, and it is what it is. And I would love to be able to sit with people and really discuss, like, what's a good way to just pay taxes without all this nonsense?
Right.
All right, so I asked this in that meeting or workshop the other day, and complete silence, because it didn't make sense. It was the Lake Como versus Spring Lake, both participating in AGP. But we pay $20,000 on our side, and they pay $14,000 on theirs. And you, sir, are the only one that's even tried to answer that question, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So here's my question. When you say rates, this is your response, do you mean the municipal budget rate? Spring Lake's rate is lower because they have more properties at a higher value. Example, not exact figures, an increase of 1 penny in Lake Como municipal tax rate creates about $75,000 in revenue to the municipality. An increase of 1 penny to Spring Lake generates $633,000. Each municipality has its own rate, and I wanted to make clear that I was not talking about percentages, rates, right? I'm looking at real dollars, okay? So the real dollars that I was referring to is the fact that we're paying 20 while they're paying 14. And then I wonder, if Spring Lake only had like 1,000 houses, would they be paying higher taxes?
Probably.
Okay.
If they had 1,000 houses that were each worth $3 to $5 million, their rate would be lower.
Right. This question doesn't have to be answered now, I'm just wondering. Always looking to get my money's worth. So I look at our budget right here, this thing, right? And I look at, this is what it is, it's the general tax rate certification schedule. And it looks like we're paying like 1.6 million for county taxes.
Bless you.
So I'm wondering, like, what does that cover? You don't have to tell me now. There are
I think we
categories.
asked that question last meeting too, right?
Yeah, but, so.
Yep, I agree.
As I
agree with your thinking, and you didn't
Right.
even say it out loud.
I just
Yes.
want to say that as I ask questions and get answers, those answers create more detailed questions. So, did everybody get that last report that we put out there? I sent it out, I think, this afternoon, this morning.
I read it.
You read it? Okay, so you get a
You
chance.
sent an email this morning?
I think I sent it out around
Yeah, it was like 11 o'clock. Yeah, it was around 11.
11?
Oh, I did see. I did not read it yet.
All right, that's an interesting one. So, our tax assessment analysis that was sent to you today shows two things. The data from 2021 to 2023 assessments seem to track Zillow's data and shows a valid comparison. There's charts in there, you can see it. The Zillow data for 2024 does not show a 40 to 60% jump and does not track the assessor's assessment. The jump in rates did not occur on related streets, such as 19th B, B Street, and Ripley Lane easement access. That would be considered in the same assessment group, which shows that North Boulevard has been singled out to pay an increased tax distribution percentage from 2023 to 2024. If you'd like, I could meet with you and really like think that out. We're paying the, I think we're paying for the new building. So I wanted to say this. If we do consider to opt out of the ADP program, Ron brought up a good point. We need to do so with careful consideration, because if our tax rates are going to freeze up here, and then we got to go whatever we create or whatever we decide, or you decide, people don't want to get locked in at that rate when it's unfair.
The assessment.
Yeah. You can say all you want, but the things that I've uncovered just don't make sense, especially the land value. And from what I understand, from someone that has already challenged their assessment, as soon as they mentioned land, the 5 people that were going to vote on it shut them down and said, you can't use land. You have to argue that the whole thing is not worth what it's worth. The land values, which I pointed out in the last meeting, went from like $80 to $350 or whatever it was, but there's no rhyme or reason to land values. One guy's paying a lot over here and his neighbor's not. Doesn't make sense. So that we don't know what the details are, and I think about, I'm not asking you a question, I think about the question that we asked, and we asked for a response, and he said that there were those records, and we don't know that yet. So I'm thinking, maybe there isn't. Maybe we were targeted for whatever reason. There are properties that are very close to the beach and to the lake that were not affected at all. They fell right into the norm. You see the outliers, they're the blue lines. I told one of the people that helped me create that to put a bar chart in there so they could see. And those houses with the high blue bars, that's North Boulevard. And it just doesn't make sense. So opting out of the ADP program should be conducted with careful consideration There's a lot of intelligent people on North Boulevard that are digging deep into the data, and it takes time. I don't think there's anything that we can do right now about the extreme 2024 North Boulevard incident, but I'm sure that more data-driven information will be generated and the picture will become clearer and clearer as we move forward. I would also recommend, and I know that you talked about that, what if we just took care of it ourselves? Like the town just took care of it and didn't get anybody else involved? Because ultimately it comes down to this. We got to pay Monmouth County for whatever, and we got to pay for our town. So those two, we got to figure out how to collect those funds fairly so that everybody's not taken advantage of, or some people will be taken advantage of. We have to figure out how that works. And every time I ask the tax assessor, and I've been asking our tax assessor since 2015, I dug up some emails from 2015 where I was asking the same questions and didn't get an answer. And now it seems like we're not getting answers still. So that's been almost 10 years, 8 years later, still no answer. And the devil's going to be in the details. So what are those details that they don't want us to know about? Are they grouping? We grouped on that last form that we sent to you. That information we grouped because it made sense. 19th, a block away from the beach. B Street, close to the ocean. So why were they treated like they've always been treated fairly? Well, we took a major hit because of two homes, which are beautiful, by the way. And my house is not that beautiful. But I'm worth as much as those. It does not make sense. Something's wrong. And I have some information for you that I would like to meet with you personally so that I could show you some of the things that I found. Okay? Does anybody have any questions for me? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janice Beeler, 1823.
You can turn that mic down a little bit.
Sure,
Yeah.
people. Janice Beeler, 1823 Greenwood Terrace, for the whole Greenwood gang here. I have three quick things. First, if I heard correctly, included in the traffic plan is not allowing any parking on the south side of 18th?
The south side of 18th between Main Street and New Bedford, yes.
In New Bedford, permanent no parking.
Correct.
That's wonderful, and thank you for putting that in place. That's something that many of us have been asking for and talking about for quite a while, so thank you for that. On making Greenwood and Bradley one-way, as my neighbors have already told you, we certainly understand that it's been trafficky and a problem in the summer, but since we made 18th one-way east, it really has not been a problem for us at all in the summer. I think I heard at the beginning, part of the concern is for emergency vehicles coming down Greenwood Terrace. And I'm a little embarrassed to admit we experimented with that the first Christmas we were here full-time. I was making soup with nice little croutons on Christmas Eve and set my oven on fire. And we had a very, very large hook and ladder fire truck for our little tiny house. And another fire engine, and there were a lot of cars on our street at that point, but there really weren't any issues with that. Now, maybe we have newer fire vehicles, and certainly that's a concern. But even with my experiment with firefighting in town, and we had a very responsive fire department, there was not an issue there. So I don't know how serious that issue is, and if we can relook at that. It certainly would be a concern if the trucks really don't fit. If we do have to go to Bradley and Greenwood one way in the summer, the traffic is much lighter now. If we have to do it in the summer, that's one thing. But in the winter, there is really so little traffic there. And if we're already making a change, I would understand if we made a decision that we will not have any seasonal routes in town. But we seem to have committed to that with 18th and with a couple of the other streets. And if we have to have, if we have to do it seasonally and experiment with that, that would be perhaps a reasonable start. as opposed to right out of the chute making it too late. The last part is a question that I have, if I can ask Officer Scott, or Chief Scott, I'm sorry, I'm not very good with formal titles. And this may become a moot point, but you know in the past when people parked on the wrong side of the street, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, they were ticketed or in some cases towed even. Is that still in effect? Because we saw a lot of that this summer with visitors parking on the wrong side of the street and nothing happened with that. So if that
It is
is
a violation, I
Okay.
can't say why they weren't written.
Okay, so those of us that do, it's a little hard to do K-turns on a little street with lots of things, but if we're doing it because we need to, that's great. If we don't need to, we take that off. But thank
And
you.
if you ever see a violation like that, you can give us a call, and we can send somebody over as well.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's it, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Rod McKenzie, 409 Wildwood Place. Of course, it's the one-way streets that I've been fighting for 25 years. If we did, there's roughly 100 homes in that little corner. And when the traffic survey changed 18th Avenue to one-way, it ended the traffic situation. We have no through traffic. All this is starting because some lady had trouble backing out of the driveway. That letter that was written. I wrote a letter, I hope you all read it. I think we're overreacting. I mean, if they're gonna change it, then we should have a survey done in the summertime in July of those two streets. There's 100 homes there. You know, it only affects those 100. If we go one way, 50 houses on one street now have to drive on the other street to get home, and vice versa. We're doubling the traffic in front of our homes. Doubling it. Everybody that lives on Bradley will have to drive down Greenwood to get home. Everybody that lives on Greenwood will have to drive down Bradley to get home. That doesn't exist now. I live there, there's hardly any cars. It's the lowest volume through streets in the entire town, even on the 4th of July. It's all people looking to park, and it's residents. Nobody's cutting through, not a landscaper. Anybody that makes a mistake coming home from the pizza DJs gets sent right back down 18th Avenue and never cuts through again. We're arguing about, you're trying to make changes, and we don't need them. And if we do, we should go through a professional survey like they did before, because their results made the town nicer. Greatly improved that section of 100 homes, traffic-wise. The streets are small, the houses are small, but that's because of the beach. Those little 100 homes are closer to the beach than the rest of the town. And their value is based on to and from Ocean Avenue, not to and from Main Street. They buy there, so you can go to the beach and come home. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, Rod. Seeing no one else to take a motion to close,
So moved. Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I am trying to kill time to get my agenda back up. Excuse me.
Do you want to get up and ask some questions while you're
At this time, the mayor and council will go into executive session, and we will use this room to go into executive session. We will be returning for the purposes of adjournment only, unless we have something to report out to